when it comes to money, everybody wants to be in their own cocoon. Like this is when we close. Even that person that is born again, like the person we all look up to, when it comes to matters of Christianity, when it comes to money, we don't know what happens. I would say in Rwanda we say tuchizwanye n'amafaranga yacu. Let us use our money for the glory of God. Amen. Let us not be controlled by money. Let us control the money. Because the money will help you to achieve your biggest dream, but the same money can help you to derail your biggest dream.
What if I thought that violence isn't always physical or sexual? Millions of people, when we talk about gender-based violence, they always think of physical, sexual, and other kind of GBVs. Hey, in our midst today, in our studios, we have. Could you introduce yourself to us, please? I don't want.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Godfrey. I'm Uwera Agnes. Uwera Agnes, and I am a woman of so many hats.
So many hats.
And I don't know which hat you really want me to put on today.
Before inviting you, I did some research. You were an expert in gender.
Yes.
Tell us about you,
Okay.
this area, and how you think fit in gender promotion.
Thank you so much. So I'm a gender expert. I do awareness creation, I do capacity building, I do research, I do advocacy, name it, in regards to ensuring that individuals, companies, and the communities exercise gender equality.
Oh, I had listened to they even introduced certification.
Yes.
The certified organization, that one is doing well.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Maybe that will be a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
There is another area where you are an expert. Is
Yes.
it finance, whatever?
So I am a financial wellness coach.
Okay.
And I speak about wellness because I don't necessarily focus on literacy, financial literacy.
Okay.
I prefer to call it a wellness journey because it's a journey of understanding, of connecting to your money, of connecting your money to your mind, to your family, to the community. So I'm a financial wellness coach.
So I think that,
that
this means that we are going to have a very good conversation because we are going to talk about this GBV, and then we also tackle on the economic part of it.
Yes.
So tell us, what is your definition of gender-based violence?
Gender-based violence, in most cases, like you started, most people think when you say gender-based violence, it is sexual abuse, it is sexual exploitation, it is sexual harassment. But GBV is gender from the fact that we have man and woman, then it is based on that people violate one another. In most cases, when we talk about GBV, it is maybe a superior or somebody who is of, a higher rank, mainly violating somebody of a lower rank. Maybe it's an uncle in a house, maybe it's a father in a house, maybe it's an auntie or something like that. When it comes to the work environment, it is the supervisor, exercising violence against the people that they lead, things like that.
I just wonder sometimes why there is this first understanding that when you talk about GBVs, it's all about women. Men don't see themselves. Even women don't think men are part of that. What do you think about that?
I think mainly it's everything has a genesis. Genesis in the sense it starts from somewhere. So GBV in the earlier years was identified mainly where women were the ones who were like the victims, of exploitation, of sexual abuse, of harassment, because it was considered that women were of lesser value, lesser energy, lesser importance, name it.
So
But in today's society, things have unfolded. Like, you find that there are certain societies or communities where women are the ones now exercising violence.
So
It is also possible that it's the other way around.
so
Yeah.
victims are on both parties.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
they can be on both sides. But of course, when we deal with statistics, we look at which part is outweighs the other. You know? Yeah, you understand these things.
I think
Yeah.
men had a lot of power and they
Yes.
abused that power.
Yes.
And then there is the coming of feminism, which was like coming to in defense of women.
Yeah, actually, feminism as a concept is not bad.
Yes, not.
But, and maybe in today's conversation, we may not tackle feminism so much. But feminism is literally standing for the interests of women. You know, there is also what is called the feminism approach, which maybe we will tackle in another conversation. But it's not bad to be a feminist, but maybe we might have to look at radical feminists, because we also have a group of people who are called radical feminists. They don't want anything to do with men.
They hate men, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so that one we can maybe unpack
Yet
later.
another time,
Yeah, yeah.
Let's go back. What are the common GBVs in Rwanda?
In Rwanda.
Yes.
In Rwanda, from a few documents or statistics that, as I mentioned, I also do research, but the common ones which actually led to the fact that when people talk about GBV, what do we listen into? Mainly we listen into sexual abuse and harassment.
Yes.
And then we listen into physical, like
Yes,
people beating, you know. I think in our context, those are the major. And then now the third one, which is economic GBV.
Economic GBV.
Yeah.
That's where I have an interest the most. You know,
Yes,
in my experience, I worked as a journalist for like over 10 years, and I went to courts. I saw men being taken to prisons because they did ABC. But I've never had a case of economic GBV. Is it? I don't know. No one has reported it. I think even on our Rwanda Investigation Bureau, I've never had such a. I always hear about sexual and physical. What do you say about? What is your take on that?
Thank you. That's a very intriguing question. And I wouldn't say that nobody has been sued for economic GBV, because we have cases where the man has denied the woman of their rights to do XYZ things. But when it is reported, mainly, it's not reported as economic GBV. It is reported as maybe because the woman wanted to go and do some trading and she was denied of the right, and maybe as a result they fought. So the thing that they take to court is not the root cause, is not the problem. The thing that they take to court is the fact that the couple fought.
Oh, it's like
Yeah.
there is. You could have in a home like 3 GBVs: physical, economical,
emotional. Because there's also emotional, let's call it emotional harassment.
Emotional harassment,
Yeah.
You know, there is a story I always remember when I was young, back in Uganda. Yeah, I used to see these women selling groundnuts in the city. Very good groundnuts. I don't know the secret. But these women would sell groundnuts in the city, and the end, when they go home, they give everything to the husband. All the profits.
Yes.
All, everything. And then this husband would just get this money and go and drink the marwa, this local blue there, and most of the time they deplete all the capital and whatever. And it was like, it was okay. Everyone was like okay with it because we grew up in this patriarchal
The
system.
community, yeah.
Yes. And even today, I think it is still practiced.
It is.
Yeah?
It is. It's only that, you see, like I was saying, when we go to court or when we go to sue or when we call the elders, we tell them the symptoms, but we don't tell them the root
The
cause.
root causes.
Now, going back to economic GBV, there are quite a number of forms. For example, it's so and so is being restricted. You know, being economically violated, you're restricted. Or sometimes it is sabotage, or it is denial, you know. So by economic GBV, even today, as you say, it still exists, actually. It exists in the context that there are some people who go to work, especially women. You will allow me to say the side that I see. I see things from, in the sense, there are women who go to work, they get a salary or they make money from their small businesses, but because the Bible, or maybe the Quran, I don't know about the Quran, but the Bible says you have to be submissive.
Submit to your husband.
Submit to your husband. Submit to your husband, not excluding the money. So you submit everything, including the penny, every penny that you worked for. So you submit, Mr. So-and-so, here is the money that I worked for.
This day, this month.
This day, this month. And for some, even on the accounts, like the husband typically knows the date when this woman gets a salary.
But that's in a family.
So,
in a family,
yeah.
I'm supposed to know what my wife earns when it comes, because for the family budgeting and allocations.
Which is okay, but now we're talking about GBV, economic GBV, and this is where it comes from. You knowing my salary is not a problem. But look, I've worked, and you know, we get paid on the 25th or before 28th each month. So all you do is you go to the account and withdraw all the money. And I'm not allowed to ask questions. How come you withdrew all the money? Can we sit down and plan together? In another conversation on another forum, I had a conversation talking about planning together. So it's not, it is GBV because you have used the money alone and you don't give me the right or the chance to discuss on how to use that money. Yeah, so that is exploitation, that is being self-centered or selfish, that is having a heart of control. You know, you're exercising a lot of insecurities around me as a wife. And if it's the other way around, still it is the same. If it is the wife doing the same, still.
You believe also women do it?
Of course. Of course, maybe not majority where we live, but there are some homes which
So,
are like that.
in the mind of this person, I feel there's control. They think they have to control everything.
Exactly.
What do you tell to these people, the victims? Because when there is control, no one is happy. These habits that it creates a resentment. So like I go to work and at the end of the day I have no say on what I bring on the table. What do you have to say to these, what we would call victims of economic GBV?
It's quite a challenging experience or a challenging question, because remember, this is at family level. It's not an individual. There are two adults. Maybe one goes to work or they both go to work, but one wants to control. And in gender, we have something called control, ownership and control. Do you have ownership over your house?
Yes.
Yes.
50-50.
50-50. But do you have control over that asset? That's a, that's a question. Because what happens, for example, if it's, let me not be just on one side. Economic GBV, a husband might have a potential project which he discusses with the wife. But again, I'll underline that one because sometimes the way you discuss might be different. So, but let's take the positive. They have discussed, and it's a potential project that may catapult the family from one level to another. But then when he presents this project to the wife, because she has to sign, ownership 50-50. Control is where we are now. And the wife is like, no, you can't use our house as collateral.
So you want to get a bank loan?
Yeah, you know.
And the woman can't sign.
And there's no loan that will be disbursed without
her signature.
Her signature. So if those two adults cannot agree, I've been here when I used to work in a financial institution, looking at a couple leaving their home to come to the bank to sign. But then when they get there, then the fight starts. It's a different story. Yeah? It's typically...
They agreed at home.
Maybe they agreed.
But on their way to the bank, someone changes his or her mind.
Yeah. So you notice that this man who came ready to take the loan, to sign off, goes home. I don't know what that is called, but typically that is economic GBV. You're restricting somebody from attaining their goals, yeah? Because by law, she has to sign, or by law, he has to sign, but she or he is not allowed to, is not accepting to sign. And we see that a lot even for women, where women have projects, but they are called maybe small projects, or even the husband's projects are considered way too big. So basically, you're asking for too much money. Yet for me as a woman, I prefer to take small amounts. So that one, if the two, cannot agree, and yet the project is potential, that can also be referred to.
What is causing these people not to agree on this such a big or potential project?
Hey, that question is also not so easy, but it's this whole thing of reading and looking around the world. There's the issue of compatibility. Compatibility, not just two people meeting to become husband and wife, but compatibility holistically. Holistically in the sense when we talk about our finances, and that's why it's very important for intending couples to discuss issues of money way before they find themselves in a home. Otherwise, when you get there, and maybe one of you is not the type who likes to discuss, and then the other one wants to discuss, there will always be.
Yeah, in my experience as a family counselor, there is a program called Save Your Marriage Before It Starts. This is when these young boys and girls are getting married, and you meet them, and then you discuss on these issues. You talk about finances, you talk about sexuality, you talk about how many children you're going to have. Sometimes you find people disagree there.
Yeah. And they say, you know what, no, this is not going to work for us.
So as a counselor there, what we have to do is just to see how these people can work together in the future. Now, as we bring in the financial aspect, here we have to have the theology of how to manage our finances. People get married when they love each other. But along the way, there's this kind of drifting apart.
And maybe, Godfrey, we are talking about finances today, but maybe in another conversation, we may have to talk about this thing we call love. This thing we call love for intending couples. Because my own experience is proving that at the beginning, maybe it is more of lust, and then love grows. As you grow.
My grandmother told me, marriage is not built on love, it's built on commitment. So I think this controlling, this one is like we are scared. We have, you're scared of the future. Maybe my wife changed, my husband changed, and I don't see myself with this man the next 5 years. So it's kind of there's that hesitation. I don't know. What do you think?
I think you're looking at mainly the root cause for, say, economic GBV. They're quite numerous. In my own study and research, economic GBV could be as a result of the insecurities of my past.
My past.
My past, in the sense, maybe I grew up with a lot of insufficiency, that now the small thing that I have, I don't want to let go. I am so scared that when I let go, I'll not get anything close to that. Yeah?
Maybe it's a trust between these two.
Yeah, maybe it's the trust. I don't trust you and your money practices. Therefore, I need to control you. And maybe it's also hinged on the fact that I know you as a spendthrift.
I like that.
Yeah? I know you, my wife, that you're a spendthrift, and I cannot manage to let you manage this money.
No.
But that requires that there's a conversation between two, so that you help me even identify that, oh yes, it is true, I am a spendthrift. Then I need my husband, who is better at managing money,
You know,
advise
in
me.
the biblical times,
Yeah.
when you look in the Bible, it was the woman who would buy the land.
The Proverbs 31 woman, yes.
And again, in our cultures, we are hunters a long time ago.
Hunter-gatherers.
Yes, a man would go hunting, and then he brings these things called what?
Yeah.
Huh?
The meats and
Yes, and they give it to a wife.
To again apportion and know what to cook today, put some up
Or what
there.
to give to the neighbors and
You
whatever.
know, yeah.
So what happened to us?
You will tell me. Because nowadays it's, but I wouldn't say it is exactly the reverse. Because again, when we are having such conversations, it's important to recognize the people that are doing it well. But we are talking about where things are not going well, where the husband will go and work and collect his, but also want to collect the wife's so that he controls it. Yeah? But there are some homes who put together and plan together and execute together. Going back to the root causes of this control. We talked about insecurities. We talked about trust. We talked about the plans, like individual plans. I didn't know before that two people can agree to enter marriage, but the plan is that we are in marriage for just the assets. Yeah? We enter marriage 6 months, maybe 3 months down the road. We are going to divide. I'll go my way. He will go his way. Yeah? So in such a case, when I truly know that I have no commitment, like your grandmother said, then I will control. Yeah? So that within the planned 6 months or 1 year, I don't lose the money or the asset to the bank. Yeah? Because when you mortgage it or when you give it as a collateral to the bank, then we can't divide it. Then I have to stay in that marriage to wait until the bank loan is cleared.
Now,
Yeah?
as a Christian, I had a friend who was from a different belief, or from Muslim. He had this beautiful wife, and she was working, but this guy was so jealous protective of her. And she did everything to make sure this woman makes losses and he closes the business.
Because the man wanted her home.
Her home. This is the man who was telling us as fellow men. And they wanted, this man is insecure. Now the wife is going to be dependent on him 100%.
Yeah.
You get? And I wonder, what is wrong with this man? It's like he's hurting himself. Because if you hurt your wife, it's like you're hurting yourself too. Because the Bible says two becomes one. So if you control her this much to the level that you make her leave her employment to come stay home, become dependent on you. It's like you're also abusing your power and also limiting your future potential. What do you say about that?
Good. Have you heard about sadists?
Tell us more
Yeah.
about.
These are people that find pleasure in seeing other people hurt.
Oh, maybe they think they are loving.
That is number one. Number two, have you heard about certain cultures around us who believe in the fact that if you don't butter, like
Your wife.
beat up a wife,
You don't love her.
you don't love her. And when they do, after the battering and making sure that she's sobbing and crying so much, he runs to the shop to buy gomesi, to buy jitenje. And then that is how they make up. To me, however you can paint it, that person is a sadist. Yeah? You've heard about, even when we extend it like, you know, conjugal rights, you've heard about couples that for them to feel good, they have to act like they are strangling somebody.
Violence.
Yeah? That is how. So that is being a sadist. A man like that is, you know, jealous can be a disease. In fact, for me, I would recommend that they go for counseling. Because I've also seen people who divorce based on that. Because, like,
They have trust issues.
yeah, you have so much, like, you give a lot of room not to have trust for your spouse to the extent that you're tippy-toeing her or you're tippy-toeing him. As a result, she will not go to work. Yeah? She will not go to work. Just imagine, and for me, honestly, I connect this to, like, you're imprisoning somebody. Because if you, I'm not my grandmother, I'm not my great-grandmother. They were grounded in the home. But anyway, they had bigger plots of land. They could even engage themselves with other types of work, domestic work. Nowadays, you have a small piece of land. You have a small house. There is nothing to do, literally. All you wake up to do is to clean the house, to wash plates and cups, which is not bad. But then that's it. You're not even allowed to go and have a conversation with Agnes, who would maybe add one or two things to you. So for me, I would recommend for such men to go for therapy, or for such women
I agree.
to go for therapy, because it's also possible that they just don't know that it's a disease, but it is actually a disease. Because in the modern day and times, everybody wants to wake up and go to work and contribute. What if you fall sick? What if I fall? What if, you know, we've seen women whose husbands did not let them to work, and when the husband dies, she's confused.
Yeah,
she doesn't know where to begin from, you know. Yeah.
But when I look, as we come to the end of this, you look at a country like Rwanda.
Yeah.
Our government have done a lot fighting GBVs. But how comes, because I was talking to someone and I said that economic GBV is still among the highest in this country. I was looking also in the neighboring countries, even in the developed world. What is happening? So it's like we are not changing. We have these ingrained habits in us of control. We can't let it go. What do you say on that as we end this?
Yeah, thank you so much. As I mentioned, in GBV, economic GBV, we have restriction, we have sabotage, and we have control. Yeah. Unfortunately, these things, the gender matters, advocating for equality, started in the 1800s. And there is so much that has been done that can be celebrated and appreciated. But I would say there is so much that still needs to be advocated for. There's so much that we can continue to create awareness about. One of them is economic GBV. Because let me tell you, there are so many families where a wife is very poor, like the wife is living under poverty line, in that context of that household. But the family, from the eyes of what we see, is a rich family.
Is that possible?
Yeah. Where you will see a woman walks, when there are 2 cars in a home. Where we see a husband parks in a very well-paved space. If a wife has a smaller car, she parks somewhere.
That's GBV.
That's GBV, yeah? And it's not that somebody has beaten you or maybe has abused you with words, but the actions.
Unwritten rules, kind of.
Unwritten rules. So there is so much that we can speak to in terms of economic GBV. Let me give you maybe, as you said, going to our last. I do a lot of training, and in one of the training sessions, I observed, and I noticed that all the husbands had what they call big phones. Telephone in.
Hence,
Yeah?
very
The
expensive
big
ones.
phones are the smartphones. And in a room of about 50 people, where I had about 20 women, the women had the gatorosh, that small,
Yes.
None of them had a smartphone. And so I was triggered to ask, how come? And approximately 10 women told me, ngofoni nini zitungwa n'abagabo.
Wow.
Yeah? The big phones are for husbands. Isn't that economic GBV?
Yeah.
It is economic GBV because they will not know how to use that phone. So they lack information. Yeah? If, for example, in one sector they have advertised for access to affordable loan facilities, they will send a message to people that have WhatsApp, maybe.
And your wife is not connected.
And your wife is not connected. So economic
sad.
GBV is still a problem that we need to speak to. We need to dig deeper. What I like to say, what are the root causes? Because it's not what we see. It's not the final signature that the husband or the wife is coming to give in the bank. It is what is going on at the grassroots or in the house.
Jesus said the greatest commandment is to love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Yeah.
Now this is your wife or your husband, and you are thinking, in a Christian perspective, your last words. Even church, we have Christians who are going through this.
Yeah. We're all human beings.
So when it comes to money, we don't.
Recently, I was following, well, not following, it was a chain of preachings from Pastor Elise
From New Life Bible
from
Church.
New Life Bible Church. And he tackled the issue of money, so much so, and it also connected to another pastor called Pastor Murithi from Mavuno Church in Kenya. I really love those pastors, and that's why I even talk about them. When it comes to money, everybody wants to be in their own cocoon. Like, this is when we close. Even that person that is born again, like the person we all look up to, when it comes to matters of Christianity, when it comes to money, we don't know what happens, I don't know this whole thing of of money. So for me as a Christian, I would say, in Kinyarwanda we say, tuchizwanye n'amafaranga yacu. Let us use our money for the glory of God.
Amen.
Let us not be controlled by money. Let us control the money. Because the money will help you to achieve your biggest dream, but the same money can help you to derail your biggest dream.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love your theory on money. So thank you so much. God bless you.
God bless you too. Yeah, thank you.